Money is the access of modern life. We alter our entire existence after the pursuit of wealth. We work for it, pray for it, sacrifice time for it, and sometimes our health too. Doubtless, it is a pivotal factor in life, paying for resources and opportunities, paying for life altogether sometimes. And even though it is extremely centralized in the modern and postmodern world, it has always been an important aspect, a determining aspect in life from the beginning of time. Although wealth brings about sustenance in life, like all manifest phenomena, it has an opposite side, an uglier side in this case. In order to illustrate the two faces of abundance, I will explore the example of Punjab. A province located in both modern-day Pakistan and India, it is named for its 5 rivers, which originate from the Himalayas. The Indus divides into 5 channels as it descends down into the plains of Punjab, each river nourishing the land and creating plentiful life as they flow upon their unique paths, eventually dissolving into the vast oneness of the sea. Because of these ancient river systems, which have irrigated Punjab for thousands of years, life has naturally thrived, making resources abundant and conditions which are most favorable for life. This abundance of resources is what allowed populations to grow and collaborate to produce sophisticated societies like those which came about in the Indus Valley civilization, one of the oldest known civilizations to date. Abundance was an important factor which led to its formation, making it conducive to live together, share resources, and multiply wealth by relying on one another rather than fighting against one another for them. So far, the evidence suggests that these societies were not class-based, and division between people was made simply by occupation, like monk or laborer or merchant, but not necessarily by concentration of wealth per person. There is no evidence of it being a violent civilization, with no weaponry being discovered at archaeological sites. This civilization is a good example of the positive side of abundance and wealth and how its presence can be used to make life easier and more pleasant for people. It can be a unifying factor as well as a dividing factor, much like it is today. Today, the very same lands harbor societies which are built upon exploitation and divide, the foundations for which are also based in wealth and abundance. With an extremely wealthy upper class and an extremely impoverished working class, along with cultural aspects which keep people pitted against one another, Punjabis suffer from an array of social issues as a result of divide. How exactly did Punjab, as a place which gave rise to a united society, find itself today as home to an extremely divided one? I believe wealth is a major factor in this cause. The human ego has a tendency to associate its worth to external factors and oftentimes looks to the material to define itself. It is only natural that as time went on and human beings began to deviate from divine truth, ethics, and morality, which would inherently give them some kind of sense of worth, that perhaps they try to uplift their sense of self-worth through status symbols like wealth, something that is seen as beneficial and advantageous to possess, speaking to the worth of he who possesses it. I'm not saying that this logic is completely sound, but rather is the logic one follows when they truly believe in nothing beyond material life, or at least live their life with a detachment from any other higher purpose. It may also be why, in today's secular age, capitalism thrives across the world. In the case of Punjab, another factor alongside egotistical pursuit which attributed to the wealth-based divide we see today is the desecration of ideals revealed under Hinduism, which was once the majority religion of the region. More specifically, the ideas revealed under the Varna system, popularly and incorrectly referred to as the caste system. The 4 castes that people are taught of today, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are not castes at all, but rather Varnas, professional classifications. They are not determined by one's birth, but rather by one's own occupational choice, chosen through their educational pursuits and the principles by which they choose to live. One can change their varna and move through different categories depending on their life choices. Jati, which is closer to the idea of caste, is one's classification through birth. According to Hindu belief, one may be born into a Brahmin family but can become a Shudra, for example, depending on what they pursue in their life. There are countless examples of people changing their categorization throughout the history of Hinduism in the Indian subcontinent. The story of Satyakam Jabal, the son of a slave woman who became a Brahmin through religious training and education, is simply one of many that are proof to the fact that the Varna system was not originally taken to be so rigid and limiting as it is today. To understand how people have come to alter this idea to justify their superiority and entitlement over others, we must look to the very verse that mentions ever so briefly the Varnas. In the Rig Veda, the first of the Vedas texts, the Purusha Sukta hymn retells the creation of the universe. According to these verses, from the Adi Purusha or Supreme Being or Essence came its kind of physical embodiment or universal form, known as the Virat Purusha. From this embodiment, Brahma was birthed, who multiplied himself and created the bodies of living beings. The demigods collectively sacrificed the Virat Purusha, which allowed for the creation of this physical realm. It is stated that from his mouth came the Brahmins, from his arms the Kshatriyas, from his thighs the Vaishyas, and from his feet the Shudras. People have incorrectly interpreted this to mean that the higher up on the body the Varna, the more superior it was, when in actuality the body parts are merely symbolic of the nature of the Varna. Like Brahman's karma relates with conveying information and learning, while Shudras relate to the feet because their karma relates to being the foundation of the entire system, without which it cannot stand. Other than the Varnas, this verse also details how other parts of creation like fire, earth, the moon, the sun, etc. were made from different body parts as well, some of which are lower on the body than some of the Varnas. This clarifies that the symbolism cannot relate to one thing being better than the other depending on how high up it is on the body. These existing misconceptions surrounding caste and Varna were further exacerbated by the British administration after they colonized the subcontinent. With their preferred method of gaining control being divide and conquer, latching on to existing ideas that promoted divide was their natural inclination. They used the idea of higher castes and lower castes to favor some and belittle others. Under their agricultural administration program, the Zamindari system, they anointed ownership of vast agricultural lands to few high caste families and encouraged the belief that they were entitled to this because they were of a more noble background. This did a good job of dividing society and keeping the possible strength of a united India at bay. And even though the Zamindari system has since been officially abolished in Punjab, control of agricultural lands remain within the typically higher caste families, who continue to believe that their inherent superiority entitles them to the abundance that lays at their feet. In many Punjabi communities, the term used by people to describe a landowner is zimedar, the one who is responsible, rather than zamindar, the one who owns land. This title denotes the karma of those who control agricultural lands in the community. They are responsible for the lands, responsible for the fellow community members who have been given less than them. If they pursue this varna, they must follow the principles required of them accordingly. So if those in Punjab want to cling to these ideals revealed under Hinduism, they should at the very least follow what was actually revealed, rather than the misinterpretations that were popularized due to the human ego and the British administration. Because social divide and alienation is usually more the responsibility of those who benefit from it, zimidars should be the ones to take the first steps to provide for the communities that they have been entrusted with, to see their position for what it truly is. A responsibility to manage the material around them, both the lands and the lives of those it was created to sustain. As can be seen from the evolution of communities which have existed upon the abundant plains of Punjab, wealth and abundance can very easily turn people ugly. It is a blessing with a great test in it, which is to say that it is not objectively a desirable thing. It can bring just as much good as it can bring bad, and the fact that land disputes are an existing issue that most landowning families in Punjab deal with today is simply just another testament to this notion. And even though we all need money to survive, perhaps gratitude for the lack of it should sometimes also be observed.